Okay, so first, there is no autism epidemic. There are autism diagnoses for people who are autistic, and it is pretty bold to claim you're going to get a definitive answer to something that people have been studying for decades by September. Almost as bold as admitting to dumping a bear corpse in Central Park.
It's very interesting, the continual reiteration of these rather salacious stories about bear corpses and whales and the brain worm. I know Bobby Kennedy, and what I know about him is he's a kind of outdoor survivalist man of nature, the kind of robust male archetype and role model we need to see brought to prominence in positions of political power right now, as a kind of insipid, insidious and tepid version of masculinity is propagated and demonstrated across the world as an example for young men. We are losing our connection to maleness. Masculinity is a bold and beautiful, powerful partner to femininity. The decrying and denigration of either of those archetypes is pretty ugly. Now, as I've said to you before, I know and admire John Oliver. I've not spoken to him for a long, long time. Of course, I occupy an entirely...
Let him cook. Let him cook. Russell Brand is spitting facts right now, truth bombing John Oliver on his show. Russell Brand is launching this attack after John Oliver has ruthlessly come after RFK Jr. on his show with lies, shilling establishment things like Big Pharma, all of these leftist ideas, and anytime somebody tries to challenge it, he is the first to bring up a theory, a conspiracy, throw something in your face that is inherently just kind of cool if it was true.
Different world right now, but I know that he is a man of integrity, and I'm very surprised to hear him talk about autism in these terms because, of course, clinical trials around autism have always been limited, and this is kind of common sense and obvious. Who will pay for clinical trials that are not profitable? Is it not likely, obvious, and even logically undeniable that if you have a particular product, vaccines, that are granted indemnity, meaning that if anyone experiences a vaccine injury, it's very difficult to sue vaccine manufacturers, do you not see, is it not obvious that over time there's a bias towards creating a medicine that has built-in prophylactics against liability?
So I think that's obviously obvious. So now I pose the question, how much are you getting paid? Is John Oliver making money? Is John Oliver's producer the one who's writing this down on the teleprompter? What's going on here? Because everybody knows this. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below.
Versus other medications for which you can be sued. There's a bias towards creating and generating vaccines precisely because of their legal positions. Remember, I've given you the example many, many times. Clinical trials are conducted in order to achieve a certain result and a certain perspective. The same as surveys. The way that you ask the question is vital and integral to the answers and results you're given. Anyone that's been to court, anyone that's been around lawyers knows this. You know the example I've given you many times, that when they needed to demonstrate that fruit that had been treated with pesticides was still a viable consumer product, and they knew that organic fruit was on the rise, the big agriculture growers funded an experiment at Stanford whereby apples that had been treated with pesticides were compared with organic apples, and the nature of the test was this: do they have the same amount of vitamins in them? Not, are pesticides carcinogenic? Not, do these pesticides have any other detrimental effects? Now, I reckon John Oliver probably eats organic food. Any person who can afford to eats organic food. Any person who could afford to would not eat chicken or meat that's been injected with antibiotics or hormone enhancements. All of us know that these chemical interventions are ultimately bad for us. The Stanford test said that when it comes to vitamins, there's no difference between pesticide-treated fruit and organic fruit.
Wow. Wow. You can totally see how these studies are so fake. This is pseudoscience. This is what has happened. This is why RFK Jr. will continue to be attacked, because the lobbyists, because the people who have money and who benefit and profit off of this will just try to hide the fact that they are hurting people with these products.
The legacy media ran headlines that read, "There is no difference between organic fruit and pesticide-treated fruit." What a helpful headline that is to have. What a deceptive clinical trial that is to have conducted, because the lines of measurement and the lines of inquiry were constructed in order to achieve a predetermined result. No one's going to pay for tests that demonstrate that vaccines cause autism, because imagine the liability. The first thing, if you want my humble opinion, Bobby Kennedy should do is remove indemnity for vaccine manufacturers, so that people that can demonstrate and prove an empirical link between taking a vaccine and whatever condition, whether it's myocarditis for COVID, whether it's the neurological conditions that are demonstrably being caused by COVID vaccines, or some other condition, likely, potentially, possibly autism, then there's a legal route to be pursued. What do you imagine Big Pharma are spending all their lobbying money on?
Oh, see, this is great, because we're not, this is, you know, the left will come in and they'll say, this is anti-vaccine. Well, hold on a second. This isn't anti-vaccine, right? This is incentivizing people who are seeking the truth, not just incentivizing whatever Big Pharma wants. And right now it's very one-sided with Big Pharma. So if we can remove that and make it to where people can have incentive to find both, right? To find out the good and the bad, then that's what benefits the people. This is why we love capitalism, because we can prove that something that's happening with maybe Pfizer isn't as good as, you know, this vaccine over here that's, you know, I don't know, maybe more organic, or maybe they change it, right? And then they can compete in the marketplace. But now the government has interfered because of lobbyists, and now it's removed the capitalism, it's removed the truth, it's removed the innovation from the industry, and then they just say you're anti-vaccine. Well, maybe we're just pro-vaccine reform. Have you ever thought about that?
Why do you think the FDA receives 50% of its funding from Big Pharma? Do you think that there might be some contingency there for the way that those products are regulated? Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. I know John Oliver is a good comedian and a good person, because I remember knowing him and doing stand-up with him and making a pilot with him for TV shows. But when it comes to this issue and participating in the attacks on Bobby Kennedy, that's doing the donkey work and the legwork of an establishment that wants to disempower an important voice in this space.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I am totally Team Russell here. I think that he is doing a phenomenal job of defending RFK Jr. and the Trump administration, really.
Your daughter telling the world you decapitated a whale with a chainsaw, and yet still having the audacity to make a highlight reel on Instagram that simply says, animals. Keep their fucking name out of your fucking mouth. Most people agree. The vast majority of the rise in autism diagnoses is due to there being more research, better awareness, and more access for people to get an accurate diagnosis. That is what can happen when you put time and money into health services.
See, what I don't like about this is that 50% of it is virtue signaling, and 50%, I shouldn't even say 50%, really like 10% is just actually talking about things, very, very surface level things, and not addressing the counter that people on the right have. It's not hard to find. You have Russell Brand, who was a A-list celebrity for a long time, and he is able to see it and put it together. John Oliver can't convince us he's this ignorant.
But RFK has persisted in treating the rise in diagnoses as a tragedy, and the way he talks about autistic people in general can be utterly dehumanizing.
Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
Fuck you!
Okay, so hold on a second. This is not like, that does seem crazy, because autism has changed so much. Like now ADHD is considered autistic as well. There's a lot of people who have ADHD. So the spectrum of autism has really changed quite a bit. It's very disingenuous to play that with RFK Jr., who's probably talking about an older style of what autism meant and now. I mean, this is such propaganda BS.
I don't understand that perspective. These are all absolutely legitimate observations and critiques. If you've been around people with serious autism or Asperger's, it's cost him a great deal to be outspoken about autism. It's not an easy subject. It's not like something you get a pat on the back for, like saying I support, you know, Black Lives Matter, or something where people will applaud you. It's difficult. And the reason Bobby Kennedy got into it is because of mothers of autistic kids. Like, he didn't just like go, oh, I'm going to get into this subject. This looks like a vote winner. Autistic mothers went to Bobby Kennedy and said, listen, you're a brilliant environmental lawyer. Can you help us, please? Our kids are sick and we know it's something to do with these vaccines. We know it as mothers. We know it as women. And Bobby Kennedy was like, oh, no, this is a nightmare, but I'm going to have to help. And he got deeper and deeper into it. And the guy's brilliant, man. He won sort of legal cases against massive companies like Monsanto. He was the kind of person that someone like John Oliver would absolutely love if he knew him. Like a hero. All the stuff around animals. I was vegan for a long time. I'm not totally down with chopping off a whale's head. But like, I know the kind of life Bobby Kennedy lives. He can't even go on a walk without trying to capture lizards. He's like an outdoor kind of guy. He wants to dive deep and pull things and eat things. You know, he's like a man of nature. That's what he is. He's a kind of man that's actually a pretty positive, as I said before, role model. Now, like the deriding and ridiculing of him because he's like, you know, hunted, you're simultaneously actually ridiculing a lot of Americans. I live in a part of America where it's normal to have guns, it's normal to hunt, it's normal to fish, and people ain't squeamish about things like having to smash a fish's head open when you've caught it, or skin a deer or whatever. This is life.
Yep, and especially out in the West. Especially out in the West. This is a big part of American history, a big part of American culture, but people have gone soft. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one.